I just want to preface this video by saying that my way of doing art is not the correct way. I don't think there is a wrong way to doing art. Art is completely subjective and everyone has different methods, everyone has different preferences. But a lot of you have asked me to show how I do art, so I'm just going to go step by step on my personal process when making art, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to start off by saying what program I use. Everyone asks me what program I use. I use Clip Studio Paint EX. Best program that I've ever used when making art. I used to use Photoshop, I used to use Fire Alpaca, and I used to use Modifier. And none of them compare to Clip Studio Paint. It has so many tools that I'm going to show you in this video that make me feel like I can be the best artist that I can be. Of course, art skill does not depend on the program itself, but I think Clip Studio Paint has a lot of assets that can help me. So, first thing I do when I open up Clip Studio Paint is I go to File, and then New, and this little window will pop up. I typically like to do my pieces in a 4K format. I like to do the 4K format because I feel like it looks nicer. There's not as many pixels. Like, you don't see the pixels as much. It does take up more room on your computer, but it's what I like to do personally, rather than the 1920 by 1080, which is the average canvas size, I guess. I will just make this piece 3500 by 3500 because I like to do squares like either 3000 by 3000 or anything above 3000 because I feel like that makes the canvas cleaner and I don't see the pixels as much when I draw. And then another thing that I love about Clip Studio Paint is I can choose the paper color. I made it like this nice orange, yellow, almost white, because I feel like that's a nice paper color. Here's the hex code if you want to use the same color that I do. And yeah, that's it for starting off my canvas. Oh, I always record my time-lapse. You can record your time-lapse here, and that will just record the canvas itself if you want to do something like a time-lapse video, like I do in a lot of my videos. So let's click OK. And so I'm going to draw my first round of Yoki. So let me pull up her reference sheet. Okay, here's that. I use a Cintiq 16 to draw, so I like to pull this out and put it on my computer screen, and I just like drag it off onto my computer screen so that I have that reference over on my left when I'm drawing. However, if you only have one screen, you can just like, let's see, you can put it like right there. Like if you can basically pull out the drawing and then kind of squeeze it into any crevice that you want. It's a very flexible program. I love it. So yeah, if you only have one screen, you can do something like that, or there is a reference tab. I believe it's the window called, Subview, and I have that kind of squeezed in over here, but you can actually put a drawing into here, and you can have that as your reference. Okay, so I am going to start off all my drawings. I usually use the tapered pen because it has more of a sketchy look. I zoom in. It has some rough edges, and then to line art, I will use my G pen, which I have given it no pen pressure, and I will explain why I did that when I do my line art. For the sketch, I'm going to use my tapered pen. I like to have it around like 5 width. That's like a nice width I like to draw with. You can customize anything. If you like to draw with really thick line art, you can like draw with really thick liner. It's very awesome. Yes. But I'm going to have the size 5 pen, and over here you can see I have my layers. This is my paper layer. You can't draw on this, which is nice. You can make it invisible though by clicking this eyeball, which is nice. But I'm just gonna go to my first layer. I don't name my layers, so it can be kind of confusing when you have a lot of like shading and everything. But something that does help me label my layers is right here. If you click this button, you are given lots of colors, and I am going to make this layer red to indicate that this is my sketch and that it is not going to be visible on my final piece. That's just what red tells me. You can choose like orange, yellow, you can do anything. You can choose any color. Use other color, you can choose any color you want. So I'm going to choose red. First thing I always do when I draw is I do a circle. This is going to be where the head is. I love circles. It is the best way for me to start off a drawing. And then I do these little lines, and this is going to indicate where my character is looking. So you can kind of see, like, maybe she's looking like this way a little bit, but if I go like this, maybe she's like looking this way a little bit. So wherever these cross kind of indicates the direction in wherever my character's face is headed towards. I'll just have her standing and being cute. So I'm just gonna have her like this. Next thing I do is she is a dog. She's a doggo, so she has a little muzzle here. And so I give her a big circle just to indicate her muzzle. And then I give her 2 more circles to indicate her eyes. So I have one here and another here. My first tip is when I'm doing these eyes, I do not make them the same size, because if I made them the same size like this, it would indicate she is looking directly like at the viewer. But we can see like these lines are indicating that she's not. She's looking over here a little bit. So I'm going to make this eye on the right normal proportion, and then I'm going to make the eye on the left like kind of skinnier, since you're not going to see as much of the eye. Since she is looking this way, this eye is going to be a little bit more scrunched. That is why I do that. It's, you know, it's minuscule, but it helps me. And then she's a yellow lab, so I'm going to just give her some triangles. Oh, this tool is the lasso tool over here. I have hotkeys, which means I can tap a number on my keyboard and it will change to that tool. So I've changed to the lasso tool, and I'm going to select this ear because I want to move it. And another cool thing is I have what's called a modifier key. And a modifier key is a key where you can press it, and while the key is being pressed, then that action can be done. But if the key is not being pressed, the action will not be done. My modifier key on the lasso tool, if I hold down the command key on my computer, it will modify the lasso tool to have a minus sign next to it, which means I can deselect. So it's going to modify this tool so that when I hold down the command key, it will become the deselect tool instead of the select tool. And I'm just going to use that right here to deselect some things. And then I'm going to do Command T. These are my keys. You can change them in your settings. If you go to Clip Studio Paint and then you click Shortcut Settings or Modifier Key Settings, you can adjust all your keys. The reason it is I can't click these right now is because I have my transform tool going. But if I turn off my transform tool and click here, now I can select these guys. So yes, I'm going to I want to make this a little bit bigger, and I want to drag it down a little bit. And yeah. And I also have a key to deselect. My hotkey is, I believe, M to deselect. I don't know if I changed that one or if that was the original one, but hotkeys are so helpful. Highly recommend using them. And now I'm going to erase this ear because it's not my favorite. For the lab ears, I used to draw another triangle like this, but I found a different method where I kind of draw it like this, and it gives it more of a side profile look, so that is nice. And then for the body, I have the chest. And I'm gonna want her to be like posing a little bit. So that's gonna be her chest, and then this is gonna be her hips. This is how I kind of visualize like before I'm going to draw her body. So the hips are like this, and then let's see, that's almost too much. So I'm gonna select and move this over. You can see I'm using the move layer tool. Very helpful once again. And then I'm going to connect the neck right here. And for the shoulders, something very useful that I do for the shoulders is I kind of connect the body like this so that it looks a little bit more 3D. Just like that. So this is like the side of her body, you know. For the legs, Yoki has digitigrade legs sometimes, usually in her chibis. So, digitigrade legs are where the legs look like this, which is like the very animalistic legs that I believe dogs, cats, like many animals have them. And then there is plantigrade legs, which is like with a knee, like a human. So a plantigrade leg would probably be like this. So where they have like this is the calf, and then this is the knee. Whereas digitigrade knees kind of go backwards, and plantigrade knees they go forwards. That's how I kind of figure out the difference between those two. But I'm gonna draw Yoki with digitigrade because she's like, I'm doing a little chibi of her, so I feel like digitigrade is the right choice here. So digitigrade legs, their pattern is 1, 2, 3. At least that's what I've found. And then you can go over it like that. I just imagine it in 3 lines. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, and 3. And then since I'm going to be having this leg kind of like that, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm just gonna draw it like that because it's gonna be seen more from the front view, and so I'm not going to be drawing the 1, 2, 3 like I usually do. And since this paw is on the floor, there is going to technically be a 4th line like this. And this is what I do to plan out all of my drawings, is I do many shapes and many sticks. Usually for the arms and legs, I'm just doing sticks. So next I'm going to see, let's see, I'm going to do a paw right here. So I'm going to do a circle there. And then here's the shoulder, right? So I'm going to go like that and that, since she's going to have an elbow. Let's see, this is where her other shoulder is. So I'm going to go down and up because that's how I want her other hand to be. And then let's do a little tail. This is the very beginning of what all my drawings look like. Very rough, very unsettling, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's how I start the very beginning of all of my digital art pieces. I'll be releasing a video every Friday discussing my art steps all the way up to making a finished piece. I hope you enjoyed this first episode, and I'll see you in the next one, where I teach you how I make a refined sketch. Like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.